Welcome to Dungeon Academics. My name is Thomas and I will be your instructor. I've been playing in another Dungeons & Dragons campaign. We play on Sundays. It's a nice campaign. It's with a very international group and a French dungeon master who I'm really enjoying the way they're telling the story on this. And we just hit level 5 in that campaign. So there was a 3-shot intro which sort of set the scene for the world, and then you could either continue with the same character or build a new character to start the main campaign. And the main campaign started at level 2. Yes, we started at level 2 or 3, I can't remember. And we've had 5 or 6 games in that campaign, and it's great fun. But I thought I'd take an opportunity to talk about how I have designed my character for this campaign, because it is very much an evolution on a character that I have played before, and I'm still playing. In my face-to-face Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign, I am playing Doug the Turtle, who is a bit of Hexblade and a bit of Bladesinger Wizard. And Doug is an absolutely wonderful character to roleplay. Mechanically, I was thinking, is there a way that I can make this character more interesting by changing a few things around? And so I came up with Cornelius, my blade-singing Hexblade multiclass, this time going with the Bugbear. Now, a lot of builds use Bugbears because Bugbears have incredible Nova damage. That 2d6 extra damage on every attack in the first round against targets that have not had a turn yet is phenomenal. But that's not why I chose Cornelius to be a Bugbear. Firstly, I've reflavoured the Bugbear to be more like a giant orange orangutan. So it's still long-limbed, hairy, big fella. But he's more like an orangutan than a traditional Bugbear. That's just flavour though, and flavour is free. I went with Bugbear for the long-limbed aspect. One of the things I'm really focusing on this build is the use of Booming Blade, trying to get Booming Blade to trigger whenever I attack. I still have this idea that I want to be mobile, I want to be running around the battlefield, and I want to be doing multiple different things per turn. Now this is where Bladesingers really excel, because you get to make a regular melee attack, you get to cast a cantrip, and potentially whatever bonus action you want to do. So being a Hexblade Bladesinger, I can make with a staff, I can make an attack and a bonus attack with either end of the staff, and I can still cast a cantrip, whether it be Eldritch Blast or whether it be Booming Blade. At the moment, I've mainly been focusing on Booming Blade, though Eldritch Blast is always useful. And at some point, I will take a second level in Warlock to get the classic invocation combo of a Repelling Blast and Agonizing Blast. But what else have I done with Cornelius? Well, we were allowed to take a cheeky starting feat. I think that's fairly standard these days. And I went with Mobile. Mobile is a fascinating feat. It gives you a bit of extra movement, 10 feet of movement, which is always useful, especially because I am playing a character who I want to move every turn. They're not going to get stuck in combat and bogged down and just hitting the same target again and again. I want them to be moving in and out and swapping between targets. I think that's more fun. I enjoy dynamic combat that way. So I took Mobile. But also it allows you to disengage from any target you attack. So if I run up and hit you with Booming Blade, I can then run away and you don't get an attack of opportunity against me. Now, given that Booming Blade really does rely on the target moving, if you run up to a target, Booming Blade them, and then run away without them being able to do an attack back, then they've either got to sit there and suck their thumb for a turn, or they've got to take that extra damage. And at level 5, it's an extra 2d8 damage, so it's certainly worth doing. So I took the Mobile feat for that reason. So he's got a base speed of 40 feet now. And of course, being a Bladesinger, when he Bladesings, he can now move 50 feet a turn. So he can run all around the battlefield. He is a very fast character. When he dashes, he's faster than most rogues that triple dash, unless they also have some way to boost their movement. Triple dash, triple move, double dash, that's the one. So how did I build up Cornelius? Bugbear, level 1 Hexblade Warlock, level 2 Bladesinger Warlock, mobile feat. What about the skills? Well, we're really lucky here that both Bladesinger Wizard and Bugbear give you a additional skill proficiency. You get stealth by virtue of being a Bugbear, and you get performance by virtue of being a Bladesinger Wizard. Now, given that I am primarily a Warlock, I am going to be a high charisma character. Okay, primarily a Warlock, I'm mostly a Wizard, but I act like I'm a Warlock most of the time because the two things I cast most often, Eldritch Blast, that's using my charisma, and Booming Blade, I'm using the fact that I'm a Hexblade Wizard to hit people with my staff using my charisma. So they are both charisma-based spells. Charisma is my highest stat despite being a wizard. So I've got starting charisma 18 and starting intelligence 16, just checking the character sheet there. I had some pretty good rolls. Not the best in the party, but I'm happy with them. So I took stealth on virtue of being a Bugbear, and I got performance by virtue of being a Bladesinger Wizard. And the background I took was criminal. Cornelius has a mixed history. He only got into college to study magic because he acquired a tuition token, perhaps through slightly less than reputable means. And in fact, he is now on a fact-finding mission outside his college because he was threatened with being kicked out. Perhaps he'd borrowed and acquired too many scrolls, tomes, and reagents and spell components. And he was told, like, you need to fix this. You need to go do work for the university. So he's got the criminal background. That gave him some additional skill proficiencies. And as his first level in Warlock, he had some interesting skills to be able to choose from as well. So I've also got proficiency in, I have to look through the list here, Arcana, Deception, and Persuasion. Those are the ones that I took for being level 1 Warlock. Then I got Sleight of Hand and Stealth and Performance additionally. This is nice, actually, because Cornelius is really useful in 3 different scenarios. He is incredibly sneaky. He's got let's have a look, Stealth, +6 on Stealth. That's good. And he has the invisibility spell, level 2 spell. So if he wants to be sneaky, he can be very, very sneaky. And he has proficiency with Thieves' Tools. So he can be the one breaking into places, sneaking about, trying to steal stuff. And despite being a medium creature, Bugbears can sneak through sizes one size smaller than them. So they can sneak through holes as if they were a small creature. Very useful. Cornelius also has the full spread of charisma-based skills. He has persuasion, he has deception, and he has performance. This makes him very useful in social settings. A high charisma character with those proficiencies is great. Now, sure, he's not as good as, say, a dedicated eloquence bard, but he is comfortable doing the talking, and I am happiest playing charisma-based characters. I really enjoy the social side of role-playing. I enjoy trying to talk myself into and out of trouble in almost equal measure, and as someone who is confident in talking in role-play games, I don't mind taking on the party face role. We have another player who is playing a bard, and they're very good at playing bard. I get the impression that sometimes they would rather let other people do the talking, and I'm okay with that. I will always try and give other players the opportunity to do in and have their turn. I don't want the spotlight the whole time, and I'm very keen to push other players into the spotlight to let them have the turn to shine. But if it comes to a social situation and everyone goes, let Cornelius do the talking, I'm fully prepared to do that. So I'm great in fighting, I'm great in sneaking, I'm great in social situations, and I have almost a full caster's worth of spells to use whenever I want. Now, being a warlock, I get one level 1 spell slot back every short rest. Very soon I'll get up to Warlock 2, I get 2 level 1 spell slots back every short rest. I have Arcane Recovery, that gives me more spell slots back. The wonderful thing about this Warlock Wizard combo is you don't worry about using your low-level spells. You can just chuck them out there whenever you want. And that's a kind of playstyle I really enjoy. I hate fear of missing out. I hate going, oh, should I save this for later? I'm like, let's do it, it'll be fun. I think that's the best way to play Dungeons & Dragons. So Cornelius doesn't take the stairs. He jumps down and casts Featherfall. I've just acquired Spider Climb, the level 2 spell. So guess what? Cornelius is going to be climbing up all sorts of things. It'll be fun. I don't mind using my spell slots to do the fun stuff in the game, because in combat I'm primarily using cantrips and melee attacks. You know, I want to have a couple of level 1 spell slots saved over for shield and hex, maybe a bit of magic missile. First turn magic missile, that's a fun one. Magic missile doesn't work with the Bugbear's special attack. That's a shame, but I'll get over it. But I've got mostly utility spells. I'm just going to check off my character sheet here. What did I give myself? Cantrips, Eldritch Blast, Beaming Blade, but then I've got Mage Hand, Prestidigitation, Mending and Message. So 4 really useful utility cantrips. And it's great being a wizard. Now as a level 4 wizard, I get 4 wizard cantrips plus 2 warlock cantrips. That's fantastic. For spells, level 1, Comprehend Language. That's a ritual. I don't need to have that selected. I don't need to have that prepared. I've got Shield and Find Familiar. Find Familiar is also a ritual. Detect Magic and Identify. Those are all rituals, so those are really useful utility spells. Disguise Self and Featherfall. Again, these are more out-of-combat spells, really useful to get yourself in and out of problems. Fog Cloud, I don't have prepared, but that's a nice one if you want to do any sneaking around. Magic Missile, it's not that important, but it's kind of a classic, so I took it anyway. Then Hex and Tensor's Floating Disc. I took Floating Disc, again, as a utility spell. If I want to carry stuff around. Bugbears can carry double the normal amount for their strength. They have the powerful build feature. But Cornelius isn't kind of the person to put a sack over his shoulder. He's the kind of person to put the sack on a floating disc and have it follow him round. He's quite bougie that way. Level 2 spells, I picked myself Invisibility, Enlarge Reduce. Enlarge Reduce is not a particularly useful spell, but we've got one character who's big and strong, and so being able to make them bigger and stronger is great. It's great fun. I also have a character that's tiny, so being able to cast Reduce on them to make them minuscule, there's lots of opportunities there. Borrowed Knowledge, I was given a scroll of Borrowed Knowledge, copy that to my spellbook. That's a useful one to have. You need proficiency in something, Cornelius can do it if no one else can. And Spider Climb, like I said, very useful utility spell. So what am I trying to do with him? I'm trying to make him a jack of all trades. I could be accused of trying to make him a bit of a Mary Sue. I don't think that's the end goal for me. And again, I'm very much trying to focus on using my spells to enhance other players. If I was trying to build up Cornelius, all these spells were primarily for his own power, and I was trying to make him fantastic at everything and him be the rock star in every scenario. Certainly Mary Sueism, is that the term? I could be accused of being guilty of that. But the way I play him as often the support character, using his spells to enhance other team members, I am hoping that I can stay clear of any Mary Sue allegations here. He is a delightfully fun character to play. He is preposterous. He is when he went to Magic College, he adopted this ridiculously over-the-top posh persona to compensate for the fact that his character is effectively beast folk and looked down upon by many of the more snooty members of society. So by playing this ridiculous caricature of nobility and poshness, he can be a lot of fun to work with. At his heart, he's still a trickster. He's a scrapper, a fighter, and he's sticky-fingered. He likes to take things that don't necessarily belong to him, but not for his own enrichment. It's always for the benefit of his tribe or the people that he's with. He still considers himself to be a good guy. That's how I built Cornelius. He's great fun to play, and now that we've hit level 5, I get this lovely big power boost. I can do 2 Eldritch Blasts a turn, or I can do the Booming Blade with a bit of extra damage. Next level, I hit Wizard 5. I get 3rd level spells. I'm going to have to take Fireball. Of course, every wizard has to take Fireball. It's not a particularly apt spell for Cornelius, but it's the signature spell for Dungeons and Dragons, so he'll definitely be taking that one. And then at level 7, I get Wizard 6. I get the Bladesinger's extra attack feature, and that's really what I'm gunning for. I have to think about what I want to do with him in the future. In terms of feats, there's 2 more that I'm kind of wanting to get quite soon. The Warcaster feat is really useful, given that he's armed with a quarterstaff and he's got that reaction attack from Polearm Master. The Warcaster feature would then allow him to do Booming Blade with that. That'd be fantastic. But the Crusher feat is also really useful, being able to push a target that you hit. He is very mobile in that he can move around the battlefield quickly without getting hit because of the mobile feat. But the ability to push your enemy around makes getting that Booming Blade damage more likely. So I've got to think about which is going to be my priority next time I get an ASI. Should I take Crusher or Warcaster? Right now I think Warcaster might take the edge, but we'll see. But yeah, I've got the progression for him planned out for the next 3 level ups. So that'll take me a few months of gameplay at least. And it's a fun game. I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed this character from inception, right from the lowest level when we first started playing him. That's also another really important consideration for me when building characters. How long do I have to wait to be able to do the really cool thing I want to do with my character? If you can't do your cool thing until you get to level 8 and you're starting at level 2, that's a lot of gameplay where you're playing a character that you aren't necessarily that keen on. I like characters that can do all their fun stuff early, or at least enough of it to still be flavorful, fun, and mechanically useful, and then they just get better. Having to wait a long time for your special abilities to kick in, that's not the way to build characters. At least it's not for me. Anyway, so yeah, right now I've got 2 different Dungeons and Dragons games I'm playing in, one online, one face-to-face. I'm still playing a bit of Lancer, and one of my friends is talking about getting Masks of Nyarlathotep running, which I'd love to do. I played Mountains of Madness with him. Fantastic dungeon keeper, that's the term. Fantastic keeper for that. So that's lots of gaming in my life, and that's important to me. Gaming is a really big part of my life. Obviously, the whole YouTube channel is based on that, but it's also important for me as a way to connect with people and have fun. I love playing board games with my kids. I love playing roleplay games with my friends. And I love talking about roleplay games with everyone out here that's listening to it. I'm guessing you feel the same way, which is why you've been listening to me witter on for so long. So thank you for being here, and enjoy your next game, whatever it may be.